Hi guys, and welcome to yet another video on my channel. I'm so excited to talk about this book today. The book I will be talking to you guys about today is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sara Maas. I wanted to talk about this book for a while, since I finished it, which was a little while ago, but I've been house sitting and doing all these other things, and I haven't been in my regular flow and setup and all those things, but the time has come. This year for me has been the year of reading so many firsts like of authors. I hadn't read a Sara Maas book until this year, and I hadn't read so many authors until this year. I hadn't even really read much fantasy before this year. I just couldn't really get into it, but this has been the year. I already have a review of A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I also read this year. And I really liked A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I wasn't sure, you know, like I loved where it was left, but I wasn't sure where it was going to go. But then I went and watched all the other booktube communities reviews about A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so right. In terms of all of the things that happened in A Court of Thorns and Roses, I feel like what an exciting place to start a second book. And I was so excited that I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and then I could go straight into A Court of Mist and Fury. And I feel like if I had had to wait a year, I don't know if I would have gone into it as pumped as I did, because I was able to basically read them back to back. Unfortunately, now that I've read these back to back, I have to wait a year for the third one, and I'm just so upset about it. I'm just so sad. This is one of the books that I did give a 5 out of 5 star rating for on the Goodreads. I loved it. I really loved it. I feel like these books are put in the young adult section of the bookstores and things like that, but there's a lot of adult content in these, and for that reason I would not recommend these to young people. I work with young people, and a lot of the books I read, I read a lot of young adult because I feel like it connects me more with the young people and with what they're reading and things like that. But I wouldn't recommend this book to young people just because some of the content is a little bit saucy and a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit mature. And I feel like as readers, sometimes we try and push ourselves to read above what we're ready to, and there would be some young people that would be fine with this kind of content, but I feel like, for me, looking back at what I was like as a young person, I would say to myself, just wait a few years, because there's so many good books out there that you know, you're better to read at a certain stage of life that you're in, if that makes any sense at all. That's just how I feel, but you know, whatever, each their own. So I did give this a 5 out of 5 star rating. I did really love this book. I feel like Sara Maas's writing is just, it's just got me. It's got me good. Many things I loved about this book that I want to talk about. There are so many things. I just don't even know where to begin. I feel like the world got so much bigger in this book. So much world building in A Court of Thorns and Roses around the Spring Court, and how there are all the different courts, and Feyre really only sees the Spring Court and then the court where Amarantha, or whatever the heck her name is, the evil lady, was, and that's where kind of all the time is really spent, but we know that there's all these other courts, so it was so cool to see some of the other courts. I just have to say, I loved the Night Court. I love Rysand. I love his little town. Is it Idris? I don't know. I can't remember, but I just love it, and I love that whole thing about how he kept his whole city separate from all of the bad things that were happening during A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I feel like this book makes A Court of Thorns and Roses a better book, because there's all this backstory about Rysand that we just don't know that was going on at the time. It speaks so much to his character, that he kept this city completely separate from all of that at the cost to himself, and for 50 years he was a slave to this lady, and just all this drama. And I just feel like, damn, I'm like, Feyre, he's the one. He is the one. So cool to see their relationship really progress, and in a way that feels a lot more genuine and real in comparison to her relationship with Tamlin, that felt really rushed and sudden. And And it was so amazing to see Feyre's growth as a person from the first book to the second book, because all that stuff happened, all that awful stuff happened to her. She had to kill people, she had to do all those awful, awful things. And no wonder she, you know, she was in a bad place after. And no wonder she couldn't connect with Tamlin like she felt like she had before, because she was a different person. Sometimes a lot of the time, if we go through some sort of traumatic experience, we are changed as a person, and relationships are different because of that. We don't relate to people in the same way. We don't connect with the same people in the same way, even just on a friendship level. But we're changing and growing so much as people all the time that it doesn't always work to go back to that same relationship anymore, because so much has changed. I got so annoyed at Tamlin because he kept her trapped in the book. And I feel like in the beginning of this, I was kind of like, I was annoyed at Feyre because I was like, well, you just need to get over it. You just need to get over all these things that happened. But then I realised as it went on, and as she started to develop her relationship with Rysand, that she was in an emotionally abusive relationship, and so many situations in books that happened, but we just don't even recognize it. We just gloss over it, and we don't even almost allow that character to consider it or to really leave, because it's first love and all of those things. But she really, for her to leave, for Rysand to actually take her out of that relationship when she was about to get married to him, and she was, as he put it, screaming down the bond, her tattoo and all of that stuff, which now we know is that they were like meant to be, you know, someone get me out of here and this, and he did. I was just like, we all knew that it wasn't right when on the wedding day she didn't feel right about it, but for her to actually have someone come and get her out of it, I feel like that was so important. I feel like their relationship, hers and Rysand's, was just such a contrast to hers and Tamlin's in terms of the slow build up to their relationship, whereas her and Tamlin was really, really fast and sudden, and oh my goodness. But it almost took the whole of this book for her and Rysand to really build that relationship, and it just felt so much more healthy. You could tell he liked her, and you could tell she liked him, but it developed in a way that was more natural and organic, and spending time with each other and really growing to love all of the parts of another person, rather than just all of a sudden just falling and then being together and then loving them. And it felt like, we know that she really cared for and loved Tamlin, but it was different, and with Rysand it was different, and it's almost like it was unconditional, and she didn't have to do anything to earn his love. He loved her before she loved him, and I feel like that was just so great. So great. Loved all of the backstory about Rysand. I loved learning about all of his little his inner circle. They were so interesting. And the Night Court and all of the things, and it was just so cool to see so many more layers to this story. I feel like this book just took me on such a cool journey. It was so good to read. I just feel like this might be one of my favorite books I've read this year, because I just got so invested in the characters this time, and on another level from A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, I really liked that, but this was just written so well. The whole world is so rich, and I'm scared about what's going to happen when it all ends, because book series eventually have to come to an end, and I just don't know what to do with my life after that. And I love Feyre, and I love Rysand, and I love all their friends, and that part where she goes up into the cabin that belongs to him, and has that time to herself to think or whatever, and she starts painting again and all of that stuff, and she paints like every surface of the cabin, and she's able to finally do something that she wasn't able to do for such a long time. I just felt like, yes, like that is her being restored from all of the things that happened to her in A Court of Thorns and Roses, and all the things that were taken from her through that whole experience. It just got restored, and seeing it happen, that it was slow, that it was healthy, and that she was restored. I feel like that's such a great way for us to see the outworking of PTSD in a novel, and just in a different way, and that she is an incredibly strong and wonderful character, but that for a while she was quite broken and had to work through things. But to see her do that and to get to the end, it's almost like we achieved it with her, and we were always on her team. And I'm just so excited about the third book. I would love to know your guys' thoughts. That isn't even, like, I could just talk about this book for so long. I wish there were more people around me that had read this book, because I just felt like I was excited about it. I had no one to talk to about it for quite a while. So let me know your guys' thoughts, if you loved it, if you didn't, and I don't even know. whatever, let's just talk about it. It was just such a good read, and I'm so excited. I've got some more of Sarah J. Maas's books on my shelf, and I'm so looking forward to reading them and getting more, from her writing. I just feel like I gained so much, and I'm so thankful for this book. It's just so great. I didn't expect it to be like this, and it is, and I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm happy to be wrong about books if they change my mind. So anyway, all of my stuff is down below if you want to follow me on the Instagram and the YouTube and the Goodreads and the whatever. It's all down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.